Something that generally seems to be a problem with most Audi A3s is that the buttons on the heater controls can wear off, so you don't actually see the writing. Initially my idea was I'd just buy a new one off eBay. Unfortunately, once I actually got it, the size was different. So there was about 5mm difference on either side. I don't know if you can just see that there. So although the controls look identical, the actual housing was too big, and there was 1 letter difference on the part number. So what I thought I would do is take this unit apart, take the buttons out and put them into my existing one so that I'd be able to fix the problem. The new one had buttons that were okay. Where I mentioned about the different part numbers, this is the 2003 model dashboard, and this is the one from 2005. So you see the only difference is that the 2003 model has an F as the last character and the 2005 has an H, but otherwise they're identical codes. You'll need a Torx T8 and T9. Some of the screws, it seems to be a bit variable whether the T8 or the T9 actually fit. So I found some needed the T9, some needed the T8, which was a bit odd, but if you've got both, it gives you that flexibility. On the back of the unit, there are a series of Torx T8 or T9 screws that need to be removed. If you look round, I think there's about 8 of them, and these just need to be undone, and that will then allow you to separate the front and the back of the unit and get access to the circuit board behind it. Once all the screws are removed, then there are just 2 clips that need to be lifted off on each side to allow the unit to be separated. And once those are off, you'll be able to lift it up like that and you get access to the back of the panel. You've then got various Torx T8 and T9s to remove from around this circuit board, and that will then, once those are removed, you'll be able to lift the circuit board off and get access to the buttons, the rear of the buttons, and then I can show you how to get the buttons out separately. On here, a number of the switches have already been removed, but we still have a switch here that's left, and the idea is that you put the very small screwdriver, fine screwdriver, down the side, and I'm just going to show you how the clips come off so you can actually see what you need to be trying to do. You can see this clip together, and the idea is you have a little hole at the side here that you can get the tiny screwdriver through, and you see as you push that in, it's then releasing that clip. And by doing that on both sides, it will allow this back plate to come out, and you'll then be able to pull this button through to the front of the unit, front of the display, which will then allow them to be released. This is the switch now separated. What you're trying to do when you put the very fine screwdriver down is to free up this clip from in the side of this hole. So by putting it inside here, you can lift this side of the plastic up. You're essentially you're trying to push this part of the plastic slightly to the side, which will then allow the clip to release that would be sat in that hole. Once that's released, it allows you to pull the button out from the front of the unit. Once you've done that, it will release the button from behind, and you'll be able to just lift that out, and that will then allow you to put the new one in. Reassembly is the reverse. You make sure that the backing plate is securely within the unit, and then you can push the button in from the front, and the two will then clip into place like that, so it's then securely held and you'll have the new button in place. Then you need to just go through and reattach all of the Torx screws to the circuit board, reassemble the unit back together, and then finally all the Torx screws on the actual control unit rear plastic. You can see this is the unit that I've replaced all the buttons on, and having had ones that were completely worn out, we now have really nice unworn, pristine looking ones in the front fascia of the panel, and we'll be able to put this back in the car. For the unit I fixed, what I had done was to take the buttons off a unit that was already that was in much better condition, and that was how I did it. The alternative, if you wanted to keep the unit you've already got, is to get something like this Rust-Oleum peelable paint, which would be in black, and this is a red one that I've been using for something else. But if you buy this in black, you could then take the buttons out, spray them, and add stickers back on for the logos, and that would then enable you to reuse the unit you've got, and that would probably keep the cost down to an absolute minimum. You'd just literally be paying for the tin of paint. So that's an alternative for repairing them.